Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to answer the question, do I really need a dual battery setup for overlanding? Now this summer we went on quite a few trips, and I thought I could get by with just having this Ecoflow River 2 Max battery power things like my fridge, camera equipment, and other accessories. The answer to that question was no, I cannot get by with just my current power setup in my truck and this battery pack. But do I need a dual battery setup in my truck to be able to power the things I want? The answer to that question is no. Today I'm going to show you how I'm adding power to the back of my 4Runner with just my starter battery and a Blue Sea accessory panel. So I went ahead and laid out everything we need to complete this project, starting with the Blue Sea Systems accessory panel. This comes with a 12-volt socket, 2 USB ports, as well as a voltmeter, and then a 15-amp breaker installed in that as well. I'm also going to be installing a separate 12-volt socket further forward in the 4Runner, and this will be designated just for the fridge. And then since I have a trigger control system under the hood, which is what everything is going to be running through, I went ahead and ordered a harness that kind of splits into two, and as well as a connector set. So I can just hook this right into the 10-gauge wire that I'll be using for a nice water-resistant connection. Just some simple heat shrink connectors, 10-gauge wire, both positive and negative, run in this nice heavy-duty outer casing. Simple tools, needle nose, snips, wire stripper, and accessory panel tool. My Dremel for cutting away in the back of the 4Runner. I'm going to have to be creating some access holes to install the accessory panel into, and then just heat shrink for those heat shrink connectors. Let's get started. All right, so taking a look under the hood, this is what's going to be powering the accessory panel. Last summer, I replaced my original battery for this AGM Odyssey Performance Battery. This should have plenty of power to run my fridge and other accessories throughout the night. But what I'm going to do, and what I like about this setup, is I'm going to be running it through my Bluetooth trigger system. And what that's actually going to let me do is have a low voltage cutoff. So once the battery gets to a certain level, the accessory panel will shut all the power off so that I still maintain enough power to start my car in the morning. So here's how I'm going to be connecting the wires. I have one extra 30 amp switch left that I'm going to be leveraging for this. I have a harness that's going to combine both wires coming from the back to this single. Now both those are going to be controlled by 15 amp breaker and a 15 amp fuse, and then it's going into a 30 amp switch. So from here, I'm going to run through the firewall right there. Kind of walk around the truck. That comes in up here. I'm going to be removing the panels, running the wire through here, kind of fishing it along the side of the truck here. Again, running it through here, up into this panel. This is where I'm going to be putting the first 12-volt port for the refrigerator. Since my refrigerator's plug-in sits about right here when I have everything installed in the back of the truck, so it'll be nice and close. And as we go around to the back, you'll see I'm going to be leveraging this panel here, which is your access port to your lights. And I'll just be popping this off, cutting a hole in here, and adding the accessory panel from Blue Sea. All right, that's it. Let's get started. All right, I'm gonna get access to where I'm gonna run this along the driver's side, popping these guys up, just being really careful not to break the clips. There we go. As you can see now, I have nice access all along here for running wire. I'll have to feed it through This A-pillar here. This one I think is a little bit easier to remove. I'm going to be coming through from here up into here. And that's where I think things are going to get a little interesting. All right, so once I get to the back and I want to run that wire up into through here and back into here, cutting a hole right here, I'm going to need to remove this top plate here. And from what I've seen, there's 2 screws right in here that are really hard to get at. And what a lot of people do is just pry it up on this side and slowly keep prying on it until those screws break off. So I saw another guy actually use like a flexible drill, and he was able to get in there and unscrew them. His hands got pretty eaten up in the process, so I'm not going to go to that extent. I'm just going to kind of do the method everybody else does and just break that off. So. There you have it. I believe this will just snap back down in here really nicely. Yes, it does. So that is the easiest way, I think, to do it. All right, one last panel I have to remove. It's right here by the emergency brake. So just got to unscrew a little screw here. Then just start kind of prying it out. We have all the access we need now. Time to start running some wire. All right, I am in the process of fishing the wire through that access point. And because the wire I'm pulling through is pretty heavy duty, I just kind of gave it a little bit of a cut with an X-Acto blade to get it through. I just needed to give it a little bit of help. It wasn't coming through. But I simply just attached the wire to a coat hanger wire, and then I was able to kind of pop it through and start pulling. So the first one is through now, and again, because I'm running 2 of those, I'm going to do them separately. Just kind of get one started and then pop the other one through. So kind of show you on the other side here. I'm running it down through into there. And if I'm concerned about, if the hole ends up getting a little bit bigger than I want, I'll just use a little bit of black silicone and close it up. And we're off to the races. All right, now I'm going to be fishing through here. And I think I'm far enough. I should be able to see that. There we go. Just got to pull that through now. All right, so I think the trickiest part so far has been getting it from there to here, but I'm talking about 5-10 minutes worth of kind of fishing this through, just using coat hanger. And here comes the wire. I am to the back of the vehicle now. All right, I've started to feed through the second wire now. This one was a lot easier than the first, since I already started the hole. Now I want to show you the beautiful thing about the trigger controller. So I have this harness that I can hook both these 2 wires up and plug one into the trigger controller. This is just a plug and play. And just like that, I've taken both those wires, connected them into one 30 amp fuse switch. Each of these individually are going to be running a max of 15 amps. All right, it's time to finish up in the back. All right, with everything run up front, it's time to put it back together. All right, we have both wires run at least to here. This wire we're going to stop here because we're going to be cutting in an access port here to drop in the 12 volt port. This one we're going to continue on through and come out here. So take this off, access to the jack, and we're just going to try to fish this down through and up right into here. All right, all the wires have been fished through the vehicle, and it's time to add in the accessory panels. Okay, we've moved inside. We are going to be cutting a hole into this panel to make room for our accessory panel. We're just simply going to be using this Dremel tool with a plastic blade on it, and this is kind of a foam gasket that's on the back side of this accessory panel. We're going to be using the interior of that as our template for our hole. And we're just going to kind of trace a line there and then go around it with our Dremel. All right, we have finished installing the accessory panel into the car panel. So we are ready to move on to wiring this up in the car and finishing the install. All right, we have our panel, we have our wires. We're just gonna go ahead and get these prepped and ready to install. All right, we're just going to be using these connectors that have a nice little heat shrink on there as well. Okay. All right, we have all our wires connected, and that's it. We're ready to install our panel. All done. All right, we are going to move on to the one in the front here for the fridge. All right, so we have gone ahead and prepped the wires for our front socket. So we're just going to push those out of the way for now. And what we are going to do is create a hole right here so we can screw this in. And to do that, I'm going to use this 1-inch bit, and I'm just going to drill a nice hole. I've made sure there's nothing back here that I'm going to hit that's going to be vital, no cords or anything. So we should be in good shape. Now I might have to clean this out a little bit to make it's not quite the right size. Yep, I just need it to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and get my Dremel and just kind of work away at that a little bit just to make it the right size. Look at that, perfect fit. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing wired up and wrap up this project. All right, here's the true test. We're gonna go ahead and plug the fridge in. Look at that. We have power. This project was successful. So now with the fridge plugged in the front, I still have access to one more 12-volt socket as well as 2 USB ports back here as well. And a voltmeter just to make sure I'm keeping an eye on the battery. Here's something else I'm pretty excited about. Now that I have 2 12-volt sockets, one in the back and then one in the front for the fridge, while I'm driving, I can charge my external Ecoflow battery. And while the car is on, I'm getting about 100 watts to the Ecoflow battery. So that's almost double what I was getting previously using the 4Runner 12-volt socket. All right, well, there you have it. I have solved my biggest problem I had this summer, which was a lack of power. And I've also completed my first project of the winter. I'm excited to get this out on the trail and see how it actually works. But from what I can tell, it's gonna be great. So clearly it's not necessary to have a dual battery setup in your vehicle. This simple and economical way to get power to the back of your car might be right for most people's applications. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.